So we have a couple of major stories going on right now in USA. One being Apple, two being Netflix. And I want to go over both of these because I think they're deeply connected and explain the cultural, the economic, and the political climate all in the USA. So first, this is from the Financial Times, and it says, Hollywood fears job cuts as opposition to Netflix Warner deal grows. And this is a very, very touchy subject among many circles, right? Netflix wants to buy Warner Brothers. The Trump people are probably going to take a look at this thing. And there's big concerns. It's been like this for a long time in USA. Just too many big companies, right? They're all merging, and there's just not that many places to work anymore. I guess we're all going to have the same boss eventually at some point. And then theoretically, one of your bosses could be Apple. It's a pretty big company in USA, one of the most valuable companies in the world. And they got a bunch of staff leaving these days. This is from Bloomberg. Apple rocked by executive departures with chip chief at risk of leaving next. If this guy leaves, it's huge. And this has actually been a big thing for them. I'm a big fan of Apple. Their new M chips are like absolutely fantastic. The best chips I've ever had. And if you guys have an Apple or any other brands probably have these things as well. It's just, they run really cool. They run really fast. And for a long time, chips have been a heating issue. So if they lose him, I just think they're in the big trouble. And what's interesting about both of these things, I'm talking about both Netflix and Apple, is they're both shaped by what's going on with the AI stuff, which we talk about a lot of times on this channel. This is from Wall Street Journal today. It's like all these things are connecting at once. Inside the creation of Tilly Norwood, the AI actress freaking out Hollywood. Great. Now I got to worry about this. So I have to worry about, if I live in USA, I have to worry about, okay, is one company going to buy another company? And then what ends up happening is some jobs kind of intersect. So for example, let's say you have an accounting department and you have accountants at Netflix and you have accountants at Warner. And it turns out, you know what, we're going to keep some accountants and then the other ones we just don't need anymore because we're going to be similar. Could we say that for advertising or whatever? Like these kind of happen if there's departments that overlap and people start to get nervous, which I completely understand. That it is just a real thing. Or say with the Apple situation, if you feel like your leadership, in this case Tim Cook or whoever is running the reins, running the show at Apple, because who knows anymore, a lot of people are leaving. If you feel like, hey, the industry's all going towards AI and I need to jump on the AI train while the money's still there, then it's time to get out. And it's just, or you see that your leadership's hanging out too much with Trump, which I think some people left because of that, then it's time to get out. It just, this is a really, how should I say it, unstable time. That's a good way to say it. It's a really unstable time in USA, be it every day, whatever crazy thing is Trump doing. And then when you're looking at like major companies like this having shakeups, I mean, and that's at the top that people are making these moves. I mean, imagine how just your regular worker, regular people feel. And I'll tell you, like full disclosure, I have a close friend. I think he works at Warner Brothers. I say I think because I haven't checked with him lately. I know last time I talked to him, he said he wasn't sure if he's going to be around for the holiday season. It's been like that. It's been really, really tough in entertainment for a number of reasons. There's been a couple of strikes. You also had the COVID period. And then you have a lot of pressure from AI, and then you have a lot of pressure from overseas. And it's actually very similar with going on with Apple. Regarding the Hollywood thing, this the whole AI actor thing. This is an actual AI rendering, I guess, or however you want to call it. AI generated, I guess is a better way to say it. It looks pretty photorealistic to me. Now, are we going to get the point to where this person's voice and sort of personality like really fools people? Because at this moment, I would say a photo, you can fool someone, but not necessarily in video. It's still kind of easy to tell that it's AI. But still, if you show me this photo in passing, I wouldn't know that it's not a real person. And that's sort of what we're talking about here. Let me read some quotes here. And this is regards to should we use AI talent, actors, etc., in movies. So Avatar's director James Cameron called the likes of Tilly, that's the name of this AI actor thing, horrifying. Guillermo del Toro, director of Frankenstein, said he'd rather die than make a movie with AI. Actual human movie star George Clooney predicted a hard road ahead for Tilly types, meaning these AI actor things, saying, quote, AI is going to have the same problem that we have in Hollywood, which is making a star is not so easy. And then you got Emily Blunt saying, it's actress, right? Good Lord, we're screwed. Now, I'm mentioning this stuff is because for many people, and if you ever worked in Hollywood, you know there's like a divide between, let's say, the talent, right? So your writers, directors, actors, etc., and then say like your CEO types who just look at the bottom line. To them, this is all just a numbers game, and there's not really much artistic stuff in there. And so if I can figure out a way to cut the talent because they cost too much, bring in the robots to write the scripts and bring the robots in to be the actors, etc. Like it's pretty same as the way that people like Elon Musk talk, essentially, right? The idea is that, hey, I'm the CEO, and if I can replace you with automation, that'll be great because then I don't have to worry about unions anymore. I hate those unions, right? And all that kind of stuff. Now, not every single studio thinks in that way, and Netflix actually has been an interesting one because they've always been known to give their artists a lot more freedom, more hands off, and that's why you'll see a lot more interesting stuff going on over at Netflix. And my personal opinion is, given the choice, would I want Trump's people to come in by Warner Brothers versus Netflix? I would rather take Netflix myself. However, I don't necessarily want anyone buying anyone because we're getting just too much consolidation. So there's that. And if you don't remember, Amazon recently bought, I think it was MGM. So they control now James Bond and such, and they're pushing for whatever person to replace Daniel Craig, and it's just a whole mess. Let's be frank with that. But what's interesting about this stuff is some of these newer players like a Netflix or an Amazon are willing to try some new things that we haven't seen before. This is something that I'm looking forward to myself. Will they actually make a Warhammer 40K? I guess it's supposed to be a TV series or movies or whatever, and Henry Cavill supposedly on board. Who knows? I think this theoretically is going, but who knows? I'm mentioning that is because I've never seen a Warhammer 40K movie, and for those of you who are gaming geeks like myself, you probably know exactly what this is. Like, oh my god, it's really going to happen. I don't know. They say it's happening. We'll see it. I'll wait till I actually see the thing, because what's actually going on in Hollywood these days, and I'll relate this to Apple in a moment here because it all is connected. What's going on these days in Hollywood is like they're re-releasing films. I guess they're just running out of ideas. This is the thing that the Kill Bill's back in the theaters again. If you want to watch the whole thing together, they call it The Whole Bloody Affair. You totally can. And they're also re-releasing, I guess, Lord of the Rings. So this is out, like it says December 5th, 2025. Lord of the Rings extended editions return to theaters. Great. I laugh at that stuff because Hollywood, and you could talk about Apple, I feel like they're running out of ideas. And also that's why I mentioned the Apple thing, because I hear the execs are leaving. And someone actually posted this really fascinating chart on social media. And I think this person, his name is Aaron, but I think it's like one of the analyst people over at like Mac Rumors, like one of those kind of sites. And if you see it here, right, like all those little X marks are people who have left the leadership team over at Apple. It's like really a lot, and it makes sense. It's the same situation over at Tesla, where people are just leaving in droves. And the reason why I say it makes sense is because like there was a time, and I remember this, and Steve Jobs would come out on stage, and I think one of the more famous ones is he pulls the MacBook Air out of the envelope. That was a fantastic presentation. Like, oh my god, right? And they'd always come out and push the envelope on something, like it would just wow everybody. And it's just not like that anymore. And it's a combination of lots of different things, which gets complicated. But I'll just say this: there are other games in town. So, for example, here in Korea, Samsung is a real company. I always have to say that because sometimes Americans don't realize like it's a major company. And chances are you got a Samsung or an LG, which is a different company, but Korean TV in your house. There's a high chance you have a Korean-made refrigerator, other appliances in your house. They make good stuff. And there was a time when Americans used to make this kind of stuff, but they just don't anymore for whatever reason. That's a complicated issue, the whole refrigerator thing. But I'm feeling like this as well, that there could be a situation to where we might look back as like, yeah, you remember when like everyone used to buy Apple? That was like the leading company. Guys, look at this. Chinese phone maker sees on Apple AI struggles to grab market share. And the basic gist of it, this one is that the Chinese government is blocking Apple from doing AI functions on their phones, because they can do whatever they want. China, if they want to block Apple, they can totally do that. This is also part of the spat with Trump. So Trump is hurting Apple in that way. It's something that Trump will never talk about, but it's a real thing, right? It's kind of like tit for tat. The same way that, say, in USA, I think there's some of the brands that you can't buy Chinese phones, that is, in the US. So, for example, This was saying the top 5 domestic phone makers which compete fiercely in China have all touted programs this year to make it easier for customers to migrate from Apple's iOS operating system to use their Chinese phones along Apple devices. So the basic gist of it is that their whole strategy is to peel audience or peel, what do we call it, customers from Apple. So they're basically buy our phone. We got apps in here that makes it so easy to transfer all your files, et cetera. Because that's one of the big reasons why people don't change, be it computers or be it phones, because it's like you're worried about preserving your data and stuff like that. Some of the brands in China, so I'd be curious in the USA, you guys can let me know which ones are there. But they're saying, I guess the top brand in China is Vivo, that has 18.5%. And then the other companies, there's a big competition. There's Apple, Honor, Oppo, Xiaomi, and Huawei. And those range anywhere from 13 to 16% of market share. So it's very, very competitive there. When you're in a competitive market, right, with multiple brands, you got to innovate all of the time. And I also want to talk about Korea a bit, because sometimes people ask me about Korea, and I'm just saying this sort of how, like, say, the cultures in China are, different. Like I'm telling you guys, and if you ever go to China, just get a chance to visit if you can. You'll see like all these crazy brands you never heard of before. There's so like in terms of like say electric vehicles, there's a bunch of brands over there that I haven't even seen myself. You hear about BYD, often on the news, but they got way more than that. Here in Korea, there's one reason I'm showing you this, because there's a couple articles that were related recently. South Korea's foreign resident population hits fresh high. That was on October 30th. And then just recently this week, then November 29th, similar kind of headline, foreign residents in Korea topped 2.8 million for the first time in October. Point being, there was a time when the USA, and this is just the reality, like they were a magnet for top talent. They would attract all sorts of people from all around the world. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing. If you have a company, if you have a team, whatever, like you shouldn't limit your recruiting choices to just one small group of people the way that Trump does. It's like, I just want only white people from Florida. That's basically Trump. If you look at his cabinet, it's kind of like all these people from Florida, basically. And it's something that's really interesting about Korea. Like literally, my wife and I, we went out to lunch today. There's a foreign worker there. Actually, same with dinner as well. Like you just start to notice it. You'll see it a lot of in construction, fishing industries, and it's starting to show up in tech also. True story. Last time when I bought an iPhone here in Korea, there was a person standing in line behind me, and they were French, and they said they were working at Samsung. But there's a lot of it's noticeable. People ask me that, and it's true. It's noticeable if you live here. And the other thing that is relates to sort of why you'll see problems with Apple or problems with some American companies. But I will say this: Netflix gets it. Okay. So in my opinion, Netflix, and what's an example? They're building partnerships. Netflix is investing so much in Korea. Like I see it. Like literally, you can see it on the screen, and also I see it because my friends are involved with this show here in Korea. But Squid Game 2, it's a Korean show. It's like a massive hit for Netflix, or something like this, this is actually I would call it Asian American, because there's a lot of Asian American talent involved. And there's a lot of talent that goes back and forth, be it, but you could call it binational, however you want to call it, or, people who have a couple different passports or have, homes in different countries. And it's crazy because, like, say something like K-pop Demon Hunters, which again is a massive hit. It's like huge moneymaker for Netflix. And I think they partner with Sony, right? And just, it's international. And, the people like the Trump people, they want to make it so that, you can only have one passport. And that actually affects a lot of people who may have dual passports for any number of reasons. The Trump people also want to, basically harass you at the border. Someone recently wrote a message in a comment saying, they're here in Korea. I think they have an American spouse, and they're worried if they go back to the USA, are they going to get detained or something like that? Like that kind of culture that the U.S. is setting is awful. And I'm just showing you, like, just for example, because sometimes people say, hey, what's good news? Netflix is doing a really good job. They're doing a good job of building partnerships. I'm just telling you, I see it here in Korea. They've been trying to push into Southeast Asia. There's been a fight, actually. It's kind of interesting. I'll show you another one, because you guys probably don't hear about this stuff in USA that much. There's been an interesting fight here in Korea for Disney Plus is trying to, poach Korean talent. So is Netflix. Netflix recently I guess they're making some funny the show. They did a partnership with Kenya, This thing is called Three Idiots in Kenya. So it's kind of a joke. It's like a joke reality show. I don't know. It's new. But they've been doing that, like a lot of just really interesting stuff. And I'm just saying, like, innovation does exist in the world. Like, I see it here. I'll give you an example of like a really popular show. I don't know this Three Idiots in Kenya thing, but Koreans love travel shows. Like, seriously, that's like some of the most popular content for Korean YouTube or travel YouTubers. They like that stuff, or these sort of travel things. I don't know. People in Korea just like to travel, and they like to watch fellow Koreans travel. It's so different than America, where like I see the culture just like going inwards and kicking out tourists, and you see this negative Trump culture. It's weird. So I just wanted to say, guys, not everyone is like that. It's opposite here. And I'll give you another example. There's a really popular show. I can't think of the name of it. If you've seen the name of the show, you can write in the comments, but I'll just tell you basically just of it. They take sort of like either, you could say C, B. I doubt they use A-listers, but they take like stars in Korea, and it could be different types of stars. We'll say celebrities, and they put them in a restaurant of all things. And it's like a reality TV show restaurant. And then they basically make Korean food in like a place like a Mexico, or you could do a Korean food. And I saw the Mexico one, and you could do Guatemala, whatever. They go to various countries, and then they just film sort of how like people in other countries respond to Korean food being like literally cooked by celebrities in Korea. and then the people in, say, Guatemala or Mexico, whatever, have no idea that these are celebrities in Korea. So they did a good job with like, much over to say it, like building relationship with other countries. It's so hard to explain how different it is here. And yeah, Korea's got problems. I don't act like it's perfect. There's lots of problems in any country. But it's just a different way of thinking, and I see the changes happening live, and that's why I'm sharing with you. So, like, for example, Korea's blockbuster fatigue. Viewers now want depth, not spectacle. Like, literally, this was the article of December 6th, 2025, and our market here is really different than Hollywood. We don't really have, like in Korea, film or whatever, like these big long running franchises where you make like, 50 movies of the same, like you do in USA, where Hollywood's kind of the same stuff all the time. So for example, I like Batman, but I don't need to see another Batman movie. I just don't, and it's just, I don't need to see whatever Rocky 25 or whatever. So the difference here though in Korea is they have a really strong Webtoon market, and so they get a lot of original stories. And so Webtoon is kind of like, think of it like as like YouTube for comic books, kind of. So independent creators can just draw their comic books. It's a Webtoon, so it's basically read it on your phone, and it could just rank popular, whatever. And sometimes they'll make it into a movie or a TV show. So that's the movie. Is called My Daughter's a Zombie. She Doesn't Bite. It was a big hit here. I haven't seen it yet, so I have no comment if it's good. Other than that, it made a bunch of money at the box office, and it was from a Webtoon. And there are like multiple stories from Webtoons. It's been really great to see like independent artists get a chance to make stuff. Or a movie we did see here in Korea recently, it was called No Other Choice. And it's very similar to the Korean title is Kisenjun. I can't remember the English title. Parasite. And if you haven't seen Parasite, I really highly recommend it. Same way, No Other Choice is actually really good. And this job is basically about, or this movie is basically about, it's tough to get a job. It's a very competitive job market. And so you have this unusual strategy to try to get a job. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to give you spoilers. But I'm pointing all this stuff out because it's fascinating when you look at what's holding America back. For example, this is a real news article. It's crazy. MAGA mouthpieces, referring to Benny Johnson, issues bonkers warnings about Obama Batman. Like the bat signal. Like, what? And this was Benny, and he goes on complaining about the possible Netflix Warner Brothers deal. And the argument that he makes is, he goes, well, Netflix has a deal with the Obamas, okay? Which, okay, they got a deal. Like the same way that if Michelle Obama signs a book deal, or Obama gets a book deal or whatever, it doesn't mean that like the Obamas then control that company. No, they're just going to write a book, and they did a deal to partnership together. The same way that Netflix is like, and I actually talk about one of the Obama documentaries quite a bit. It's called American Factory, which I highly, highly recommend. But it's funny, evidently they did a bunch of other documentaries that I didn't even know about. So maybe I should check those out. But the funny thing is, though, for Benny Johnson, he thinks that if you tell different types of stories about different types of people, then that's a bad thing. And then they start going on and on and on about we need to make more movies like Top Gun. And guys, I like Top Gun. I went to go see Top Gun 2. It was a fantastic movie. I like that movie. But it doesn't mean that's the only movie I want to see. I like to see lots of different types of things. And there's some people who are okay with that and some people who are not. I know I cover a lot of topics whenever we have these kind of discussions. It's hard to encapsulate everything into like one, 5-second soundbite and make it easy to understand. But long story short, in the USA right now, you have too much consolidation happening. I think that is a bad thing. I think that giving people less choices to work is not a great thing. Also, to be fair, here in Korea, there's a couple major companies that control a lot of things, so we have the similar problem here as well. It's totally true, and I'm saying you don't want that. Completely saying you don't want that. But it is different here that in some industries, for me, it's really the food industry where it's very, very noticeable. The mom and pop food is like restaurant choices are all over the map. It's just like all kinds of mom and pop stuff, and then a lot of the young people in Korea don't really want to work for the big conglomerates anymore so much. But that's kind of a similar thing. I think in many countries in the world, the young people don't want to do the corporate rat race. I know for myself, I'm 50. If you guys don't know, I never wanted to climb the corporate ladder. It just wasn't for me. And it's even though like we get job offers to go, hey, do you want to come work on Wall Street, or do you want to work for this Fortune 500 company or whatever? It's just no. I don't want to sit in an office and have to play the basically backstab your coworkers to get ahead kind of stuff. It's not for me, which is fine. I mean, everyone you choose what makes sense for you. But I think a lot of people though are getting tired of that kind of thing, and we're in a period right now of massive cultural change in USA, be it diversity changes, just different types of people, be it economic changes, right? The economy is definitely slowing down. You can see it. And also just rise of challenges of other countries in the world that are economically developing. There's going to be a time, and I mean for reals, when you're going to start to see like massive hits out of India, out of Vietnam, that really break through to the American market the same way that a Squid Game does, or it is. I wouldn't be shocked about it because Bollywood's really strong. I've seen some Bollywood movies; they're fun. It's a different market. There hasn't been that many big hits. I think the one that I really liked, I believe it was called Three Idiots. It's the one about the three students. But anyway, so that's my thoughts on this stuff. I hope you guys understand the connections that are making, and also the AI pressures on people. And I just think the best way to really navigate this stuff is be open to change and embrace change and understand why it's happening and look for opportunity. This is the kind of stuff that I write in my book. Don't be afraid of it. Just figure out what's going on and understand it. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this. I do appreciate your time, and I'll catch you on the next video.